Boston College may have their toughest opponent of the year on Saturday against Wake Forest. We're going to start to preview the Demon Deacons. All of this and more on today's Locked On Boston College.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for all of you who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every morning. Whether you're going for a ride, whether you're going to work, whether you're doing dishes, I want to let you know that I appreciate all of you that have made us part of your daily listening. Now, on today's show, we're going to kick off our discussion on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. It's a shorter week because we will not have a show on Thursday for Thanksgiving, but we'll give you a bit of a preview of the Demon Deacons and what we could expect on Saturday. We're also going to look at the coaching carousel, which has been spinning out of control. We talked a little bit about where Jeff Hafley falls on that, but there's some interesting openings that do affect Boston College and some of the players that have been around BC, so we want to check those out as well. And then finally, I haven't done a great job of covering basketball on this podcast. We've been talking football so much, so I'm going to get into the basketball games and some of the hockey stuff that's going on, including some of our first COVID delays of the season. So, Wake Forest. Wake Forest was a team that looked like a team of destiny heading into the last month of college football. They were a top 10 team. Dave Clawson was one of the most popular coaches in college football as they looked incredible. Their offense was humming. You know, they had 70 points against Army, 40 points against Syracuse, 37 points against basically Florida, Louisville, Florida State, Virginia. They were scoring at a rapid pace. Then they got into a battle with UNC to start off November. They got 55 points, but they let up 58. Their defense, as we've seen all season long, has been a major issue for Wake Forest. They let up 42 points to North Carolina State and then 48 to Clemson. So Wake Forest comes in a team of two halves, basically, right? On the offensive side of the ball, they are, without a doubt, the best offense Boston College has played all season. That's not even a question. With A.T. Perry, their leading wide receiver, with 52 catches for 1,000 yards, and then Jaquari Robertson with 57 catches for 953 yards, both of them combining for 19 touchdowns. They are going to be a hard passing attack to stop. And on top of that, you have Sam Hartman, who up until, again, the beginning of November, was a Heisman candidate. I don't think he is anymore, but he has 31 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 3,400 yards. You know, Wake Forest plays that if you watch them play. They play a very deliberate run-pass option, with the option being very slow. If you watch Hartman, he kind of like holds it an extra second based off of what he wants to do. And that could be a challenge, and I know it's hurt BC in the past. So this offense, they're going to be a major issue. For Boston College, who has let up points to Louisville, to Florida State, who have struggled to contain faster quarterbacks. They get to the edge, or they do things like, move the pocket around and then get BC in space. This game could be a major problem for BC's defense. You got to hope going into this matchup that they get Josh DeBerry back, because he adds a dimension to this defense that is going to need any chance that they can get. Now, their offense is number 4 in the country, averaging 43.1 points per game. They're only behind Pitt, Alabama, and Ohio State. So you could see that this offense is going to be a major issue for Boston College. Now the defense, let's go on the other side of the ball, because their defense is really porous. They allowed 449 yards per game. That's 111th on defense. And in terms of points, they have allowed 30.8, which puts them at 92, but that doesn't really give a full picture of how poor their defense is, because you have to put in, they only allowed 10 points to Old Dominion, not a very good team. Norfolk State had 16 points, not a good team. Duke had 7 points. So they really kind of, it wasn't an accurate portrayal of how they play. So if Boston College's offense struggled against FSU, this game could be more like Georgia Tech, where BC's defense is going to have to make some plays because the offense it looks like they'll be able to do some things. They're going to be able to throw the ball. They're going to be able to get some points on the board, which should, ease some of the issues that we saw against Florida State. They don't have the defensive playmakers that that the Seminoles had. And their pass defense is also pretty poor too. They've allowed almost 240 yards per game, which is a little better than Georgia Tech. I mean, much better than Georgia Tech, but still not very good. So can Boston College go into this game? Can they score points and fix something? This is a game where they cannot come out slow. What you saw against Florida State, you cannot do this against Wake Forest, because before you blink, they'll be up 21-0. That's how fast Wake Forest can score points. And they need to be able to make some stops, and they got to be able to control the ball. Will they be able to do that? We'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be a big challenge. BC goes into this game a 5-point underdog. I mean, I want to see Boston College get their first ranked win. This is going to be a really tough game for Boston College, and I'm not sure they have enough to do it. In a moment, we're going to talk about the coaching carousel, because there's some interesting moves that have been going on, and that carousel is about to go into warp speed. But before we do that, all right, college football fanatics, have you heard about PrizePicks? PrizePicks is a daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and I know you will too. PrizePicks is a leader in college sports daily fantasy. All you have to do is you pick players from the major Power 5 conferences and some players you've not heard of. They allow you to make of any prop you can think of, from yards to touchdown and even interceptions thrown. When you can pick 2 to 5 players, the over and under on their projections. There's a million different things you can pick between passing yards, rushing yards, interceptions. You name it, they have it. PrizePicks has their award-winning app on the Google Store and on Apple iTunes. You just need to download it, make your first deposit. They're going to give you a 100% match up to $100 when you use promo code LOCKEDON. Again, use promo code LOCKEDON for the 100% bonus up to $100. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. I've used it. You can make an entry really quick if you want to. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. So remember, don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com and use promo code LOCKEDON, or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. In our first segment, we talked about Wake Forest. I'm going to flip the script here and talk a little bit about some of the coaching positions that have opened up in the last couple of weeks, excuse me. It's been a crazy coaching carousel, and it's only going to get busier. I mean, there's a week left in the season. There's a bunch of teams that still could make decisions to fire their coach as the year ends. But right now, there are so many open. And let's first kick it off. I'm not here to rip on UMass. I promise you, this is not my rib on UMass moment. But they hired Don Brown. Now, Don Brown was a former Boston College defensive coordinator from 2013 to 2015. He was that coach, that started the Be a Dude stuff under Steve Adazio. He had a really infectious personality, good recruiter, and did a nice job with reinventing Adazio's defense to the point that they became the number 2 defense in the country in 2015. Now, after he left Boston College, he ended up at Michigan, and he didn't really do all that. He wasn't all that successful there. And then off to Arizona, where they are just a team in rebuild, so he wasn't going to have the success immediately. Now he's back with UMass. He was a UMass head coach for a while when they were in the FCS, but it's a different situation now. And when he was with FCS, it's you could recruit at a different level. You could build at a different level. When you're FBS and you have to play teams like you just played Florida State or Georgia, even teams like some of those like Midwest, like Coastal Carolina, things like that they have on their schedule, you have to recruit at a better level. Brown should give them a chance to improve there, but he's hitting almost 70 years old. This is not the same Don Brown that was 50-something when he was their head coach before. I wish him the best, because he was a great head defensive coordinator here, great guy. He's just got a lot. I mean, I like this hire better than UConn. UConn hiring Jim Mora Jr. made no sense to me, but it is what it is. I like this hire for UMass. I'm not sure if it's going to work out for them. So that's one to keep an eye on over in Amherst. Within the conference, the other coaching firing was Justin Fuente, who was fired just after losing to Boston College during the red bandana game. He was 43-31 in his seasons at Blacksburg, and he was below 500 3 of his last 4 seasons. Now, this was a coach I had said at the beginning of the season was definitely going to get fired. He had a terrible 2020. I was shocked that Virginia Tech even brought him back. He had some of those games last year. It was the Liberty game, I think, where he just completely imploded. And it was his play calling that cost them that game. I thought at first he was going to be the right hire for them, but he clearly was not. Virginia Tech did a nice job of moving on, and this is a team that Boston College is going to be playing constantly, so it's worth talking about. That they're going to have to find a new head coach. Now, the rumor mill has been spinning for Billy Napier, but that's also been the name floated highly for Florida too. The Gators are really high on him. So it's going to be a battle between those two. If it's a battle between Virginia Tech and Florida, the Hokies are not going to win that battle. So he's not going to probably end up in Blacksburg if that is who the Gators decide on. And that's where all signs are pointing right now. If he goes, the name that I have seen linked to Virginia Tech that I think makes a lot of sense is Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina. This is a team that has been really good. Now, some of that could be on their quarterback, who's been very, very good. But Chadwell is a good coach. He's a culture builder there. I like what he's been able to do with a team that was only brought up to FBS a couple of years ago. He would be a nice fit for them. Bringing Coastal Carolina into a ranked team would make a lot of sense. I was looking at some lists of some of the other names. I just don't see it. Like Gary Patterson, I don't think makes sense. Shane Beamer, I know that's Frank Beamer's son, but it's too early. I think maybe if they fail on this coaching search, you bring Beamer back, and Hugh Freeze is definitely not going to be going to Virginia Tech. I don't think that makes sense either. So Virginia Tech is another school. I think it's worth watching. And then in terms of the coaching carousel, I said earlier on that this is not done. So those are the two big programs to watch. UMass, obviously, they're in the Northeast. You want to see what they can do. They're not going to be beating BC for any recruits. That's fine. But you're going to play them, so might as well talk about it, right? And Virginia Tech is on our schedule every year. Now, the other teams to watch for, and the decisions haven't been made yet, are Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and Duke. Georgia Tech we just played, so we probably won't be playing them for a while. But I don't see Jeff Collins making it to the end of the season. They just got pasted by Notre Dame on Saturday, 55-0, and their season's not getting any better because they got to play Georgia this week. And that offense is not going to get any points. So their defense has been atrocious. Their offense has been inconsistent. I could see Jeff Collins getting fired, potentially being fired by the end of the season too. So he'll be someone to watch. And then going up north to Syracuse, Dino Babers. He's such a enigma. I said earlier in the season I thought he would get fired. He just didn't seem to have Syracuse going in the right direction before this started. Then he got the season going, and he had Sean Tucker going, and you had that defense looking pretty good. They beat Boston College. Sean Tucker is awesome. He's a good quarterback. He's a good running back. One of the best in the country. Then everything just fell apart. They played a more difficult part of their season, and it just wasn't working. And they end the season at Pitt. That could be really ugly for the Orange. So Syracuse and Georgia Tech end the season with games that they could potentially both get blown out. If that happens to both of those schools, I could imagine Syracuse losing their head coach too. And so that'll be an interesting one to watch. Who will they go with for the Orange? Will probably be another G5 coach or a coordinator from somewhere. But, both schools that, BC plays, they're in their conference. I think that those are B1s to watch. And then finally, David Cutcliffe at Duke. Duke is on Boston College's schedule next year. It'll be interesting to see what they do because that program is dead in the water. Cutcliffe, obviously, he's had a lot of success in his past, with Daniel Jones and that offense. They made a New Year's Six bowl, but they have just been terrible this year. They were terrible last year. He's a legendary not legendary head coach, but in terms of Duke, he's a legendary head coach, but it's time for him to hang up. It's just not working anymore. They need to get some new life in there. So Duke, who plays Boston College next year, could have a new head coach as well. Now, these are all going to be interesting to watch because not only are they teams that BC plays, but it'll be interesting to see if any of these programs try to poach some of BC's assistants. So could an Azar Abdul Rahim get poached somewhere as a defensive coordinator? Could happen, but I don't think it will. Or some of these other coordinators that Boston College has. Be something else to watch for as we hit the carousel. If you have not listened to yesterday's episode, I talked about Jeff Hafley's role in the coaching carousel and my thoughts on whether we should worry about him possibly going somewhere else and my thoughts on that. So check that out. Now, in our final segment, I'm going to wrap up some of the news of the week, things that we haven't gotten a chance to talk to because we've been so into football. That's something you're going to want to check out. All right, college football fans, it's Thanksgiving, and we know what that means, football. And nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting. BetOnline has got you covered all holiday season, more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one sport for all sports actions this Thanksgiving. You want to make a bet on BC versus Wake Forest? Wake Forest is only a 5-point favorite. Seems a little low to me. If you agree with me or disagree with me, head on over to BetOnline. Their updated desktop or mobile website will help you sign up today. And when you sign up, they're going to give you a 50% welcome bonus when you use promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get that bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 21 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, we're stuffed with deals this Thanksgiving. If you have not tried out Built Bar by now, you are missing out. They say it's a protein bar, but listen to me, it does not taste like one. Most protein bars, they're chalky, they're waxy. You need a glass of water to get some of that. It's just hard and gross. Not something you want to enjoy. A Built Bar is a different experience. It's soft, covered in 100% pure chocolate. When you bite into it, you know it's something that you're going to like. And I swear, when I eat them, it tastes like a candy bar. Another thing about Built Bars, there's so many mouth-watering flavors, including coconut, which is my favorite, raspberry mint brownie, coconut almond, salted caramel, double chocolate, and cherry barcia. I have a Built Bar every day at 2:30. It gives me the energy I need to get me through the end of the day when I'm doing work. It is fantastic. This month, Built Bar is coming out with some new limited time flavors every 3 to 4 days, so check their website often. You don't want to miss this out. Again, go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Hello and welcome back to Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. I want to wish all of you out there a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you get a chance to see family and friends. I know last year was weird. Hopefully this year will be a little bit more normal for all of us as, vaccinations are out there now and everything. So hopefully you have some time with your family this weekend. Now, this final segment, I want to go over, I feel bad. When I record these, I go with what are people most interested in? Usually it's football. So I always go with football. But Monday's episode, I just had so much I wanted to talk about with BC and Florida State that I didn't get a chance to talk about all the basketball games and hockey from this weekend. And there's even more hockey news that came out on Monday. So let's kick it off with basketball. It was a bad weekend for basketball. BC started off in the Sunshine Slam in Daytona, Florida. It was a 4-team multi-team tournament. If you had Flow Sports, you got to watch it. If you were like me and you did not get to see it, and you had to kind of find clips of it to catch up. But BC lost both of their games. They started off against Utah. They played pretty well, held their own for a part of it, but then fell apart at the end and ended up losing to the Utes 68-61. And that was led by Jaden Zachary, who had 15 points and 2 steals, They shot better from 3-point range. They did a little better in terms of their field goal percentage. They shot decently well. It was just that they couldn't outscore a team that was shooting 47%. And so they ended up playing, and I was gulping when I saw it, they had to play URI again on Sunday and lost again. And so at least with URI, at least this time they didn't get blocked 13 times. They were able to adjust, which is what you want to see. URI had two blocks the entire game, and compared to 13, that is a huge improvement. So that does show you, if you're watching those games and going, man, they're losing, but I want to see improvements. The fact that Earl Grant was able to adjust their offensive scheme so that they weren't getting blocked every time, that was good. Now, Jaden Zachary, again, had 19 points. He was named to the Sunshine Slam all-tournament team, which was good. James Karnick also came alive. I hadn't seen much of him all year. He had 15 points and 13 rebounds. He'd be important. If Quentin Post struggled, he had no points. He was played 17 minutes. For the basketball team, again, we're going back to, we want to see improvements. They lost. They're now up to 3 losses in a row. They play Columbia on Friday. You want to see the offense playing better. You want to see them shoot better from 3-point range. They shot 50% in the second half against URI from 3-point range. That was good. Zachary was the key there. He was hitting threes all over the place. They shot better from free throw range. Turnovers, they had 15 turnovers compared to URI's 13, so they were right around the same. Again, as I didn't get to see the game because of Flow Sports, if you're going to pay $30 to watch this, God bless you, but my cable package didn't have it, and it was in Daytona, and I'm not flying to watch that game. But it'll be interesting to see where they go from this. Remember, this is going to be an up and down season. I don't expect BC to be all that relevant this year, but you want to see guys like Zachary play better. You want to see Quentin Post play better, which he didn't, and you want to see DeMar Langford play better, and he's struggling. That's a big one right there. DeMar Langford, after starting out hot against some of those bad teams, he needs to be a guard that can make some plays, and he hasn't been able to do it. He shot 3 for 10 against URI. He's got to do better than that. So that'll be some things to keep an eye on. So basketball, they are now 4-3. They're going to have 4-3. They're going to have 3-3, excuse me. They're going to have Columbia on Friday. Now, hockey, they had a 2-game series against Maine. Jack McBain, if you haven't watched him yet, is a fantastic player for the men's hockey team. Had a hat trick in the first game, and then BC ended up winning that one 6-2. The second game, unfortunately, BC tied Maine into penalty shots, in which Maine won in the third shot, I believe it was, and they lose a point there. Now, Maine is a bad hockey team. They are not good. They were 1-9 heading into this series. BC was kind of floundering. They're not playing as world beaters right now. They're not playing like a top team. You needed to get 4 points. So 3 is disappointing. It's not what you want. And so BC was going to head into this weekend and hopefully get some momentum. They had to play Harvard and Notre Dame, which are two tough out of conference opponents for BC. Unfortunately, both of those games have been postponed because of COVID-related issues within BC hockey. We don't know exactly what that means. They said it was out of an abundance of precaution. They're going to try to reschedule those games, so hopefully they will happen, but there will be no hockey for the next week. So if you were hoping to catch those games, they are not going to be on TV or live. So hopefully whoever is impacted by COVID, I know the numbers are crazy right now across the country. Hopefully they're okay. So that was our thoughts on that. Just a reminder, there will not be a show on Thursday, so if you missed an episode over the last week, this is the perfect time. If you're traveling for Thanksgiving, go back and give it a listen. And if you're listening and you enjoy this as your first time, hit subscribe so that you listen to Locked On Boston College all the time, because we're going to be talking BC sports 5 days a week for here on out. It's a great time, and I enjoy it. We're going to have special guests. We'll have other commentators like Mitchell Wolf and Eric Hofstas on here. If you enjoy this, I hope you listen to us more often. I hope you all also have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with your families, and enjoy some football. I can't wait to watch some NFL football on Thursday. There's going to be some good games on, and honestly, I don't even know if they're good games or not. I just like watching football. So thank you all, and have a great Wednesday and a happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everyone.